Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Shoe Podcast, the only sneaker podcast that's something, whatever. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your something, Tanner.
Here we are. We're back again. We're here tonight. Quick episode context. We're here tonight to talk about Kyrie Irving signing his father to a signature shoe deal, Nike's Department of Archives getting hit with layoffs, and the Yeezy Day restocks this week in sneakers. We got some real topics for you guys. But before we get into all that, how are you doing, pal?
Boy, just trying to put some final touches done at work because we're about to head on to a little vacation.
That's right, yeah.
Very excited. Switching it up this year, going with a leaving the beach behind.
Yeah.
Which when we made these plans in the winter, I was all for. And then the first day of 90 degrees, I was like, could definitely have my toes in some sand. But very excited going to Yellowstone.
There you go. That'll be a good trip. Yeah, we're going later in the year. So I'm glad that you're going to go guinea pig it for us and let us know if it's still worth doing for our non-cancelable reservations,
Reservations, yeah. This is also, I was going to say the furthest north I've been in the country, but Chicago,
further north.
And your wife getting married.
Shout out longitude. That's the way that works.
Chicago.
Yeah. And we're taking the play out of your book. We're going to the beach in a couple of weeks. So it's really like, we're kind of like parent trapping here a little bit, where we're going to go live each other's lives.
I like that. Hopefully you have all the positives and none of the negatives.
Thank you.
So I was like, we do the beach too much. Let's do Yellowstone. This would be great. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. The mountains, all of these things. Like it's gonna be great for Boogie to see all these cool animals and be there. And I'm, and then the first bead of sweat that went down my hair was like, Destin, Florida. And I was like, no.
That's so funny though, that you're I would be so the opposite where it's like so hot and I'm like, take me somewhere further away from this. Higher elevation might be a little bit cooler. I think Yellowstone's still going to be warm, but the beach is that's why I'm normally not a beach guy, right? Is that like, I don't necessarily want to go be warmer somewhere.
Warmer.
We got warm at home.
We do, but it's a different warm. It's like, I was about to say, you got to get inebriated on a beach. You know what I mean? That changes the play.
I thought you were about to say it's not the heat, it's the humidity. And every time you say that, a dad somewhere gains a new pair of New Balances, I think. Yeah, they ascend into heaven a little bit closer.
Yeah, very excited. And we ended up getting everybody their own little disposable camera.
Cute.
For this little vacation. So when we get there, we're going to give everyone their own camera. And then I bought this little like digital one that looks like it. Boogie's going to get that one so he can snap a ton of adorably terrible pictures.
There you go.
And I don't have to worry about the $30 camera and
exorbitant
$20
cost of film.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go.
Very, very excited. I'm excited to swap the Yellowstone adventures.
There we go. We'll trade stories at the end of the year.
Yeah.
That'll be maybe instead of sneaker of the year, we'll do Yellowstone recap at the end of the year for our shoe podcast.
It'll just be a PowerPoint presentation of all of our.
That's kind of what we got going on today. It's going to be a little PowerPointy here. I put together some visuals for our episode.
Oh, I'm excited just to see what visuals for the first one.
Fairly basic here, yeah. To remind everyone, we are a visual podcast as well. So if you're just listening and you want to watch, you can watch us either on Spotify or on YouTube at youtube.com/@shoepodcast. While you're there, go ahead, hit that subscribe button, drop a little thumbs up on this video. Wardrobe change, not even mid-episode. In the first 5 minutes, wardrobe change.
Just gently right on top of the head.
On top of the headphones too. It's looking tall. You look like one of the characters in Squidbillies right now. A tall hat. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, we can go ahead and jump into our topics here. Let's see. I think it'll be this button. First up, wholesome alert.
Wow.
Kyrie Irving signs his father, Drederick, I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, to an Anta signature shoe deal. So a little bit of context for this. Kyrie Irving is the appointed chief creative officer for Anta. In that role, he's responsible for identifying and recruiting collaborative partners. In his first order of business, signing his father, Drederick Irving, to a signature shoe deal. This marks, quote, the first time in pro sports a player has signed his dad to a signature shoe deal. Tanner, for most
Wow.
of these topics, right, we're going to have a little premise, and then I've got a discussion point, a question for us to jump off with. This one, I wrote down just a wholesome moment. I didn't really have anything, but now I'm coming back. I've got a question now.
Oh,
If you could sign your dad to a signature shoe deal, what would the shoe be?
ooh, boy, that's tough.
It is.
Right now, it's an Adidas shoe.
Okay.
I don't remember the silhouette, but he's had like 3 colorways. Like
he's in it.
He's a big fan. I mean, no disparaging to the, but it's definitely an outlet shoe. Like
Okay. Nothing wrong
he
with
stumbled
that.
upon an outlet and then fell in love with it. So, golly, maybe. Here's also the thing. It's hard for me to sign my dad to a sneaker deal just because I know what he does towards the end of a life cycle to that shoe, where he just smashes the heel in. And
I've never seen anyone else turn a pair of sneakers into mules like that. And it is something to be admired and appreciated. Honestly, I would say
he does not own flip flops. He does not own slides. He does not own clogs. He owns none of those because he just shoe got a little dirty, not nice enough to wear to the the Nashes for the Friday night dinner with mom. Just mash that back heel in, and now I can take it to empty the trash.
I would argue you to say he's never purchased slides, but he now owns slides.
He owns slides.
I would put it that way. Yeah, that's funny.
It would have to be some type. I think I would sign him to maybe to an Adidas, and then but it would be I think it would be a triple collab, because it would be like maybe a quadruple.
Yeah,
probably like Adidas
X,
I guess, cross me, X my father, X Nicole McLaughlin, just because I think I need to bring her in.
She's got to be a part of this somehow. It's too good.
I just want to bring her in to see what her twist, and I think her and my father could make probably one of the greatest yard dad shoes to exist.
Nicole, our DMs are open. If this opportunity excites you like it does us, please do not hesitate to reach out.
Nicole, I just wanna know what you and Ross would cook up. That's it.
I don't know if the world's ready for it.
Yeah. What about you? What silhouette are you signing for old Pop?
For old Pop.
Old Pop.
I'll be honest. I think he's on a Skechers kick lately. I think he's got a good pair that's comfortable and supportive. Nothing wrong with that. Might be triple black even. So I think that's probably the vibe. I think that's probably
trust the man.
It was adorable for our wedding day. He got a new pair of white Nikes that he was very excited to wear on that day. Not for the ceremony, but for the reception changed into.
Yeah.
Heartwarming moment. That was really special.
I love the triple black shoe. He said, I used to work for the law, but no more. I've retired.
I used to work for the law, but the law never worked me. I'll tell you right now.
He said, I want to see what's on the other side.
I've been locking them up. I want to see what that lock does.
Yo, catch me in small claims courts. I got a real beef with that judge.
By the way, I should really quickly clarify. My father was never like a criminal prosecuting attorney or something like that. He did not do any of that.
No.
Straight up defense.
Fighting.
Yeah.
He was fighting for the little man.
He was. Yeah. So, but anyways, yeah, maybe a Skechers collab would be in his cards, I think.
I like that.
Getting back to the Kyrie story here, I was telling you before we started recording that one of my favorite blurbs from this whole thing is Sneaker News, in their own words, wrote, quote, "This is truly an unprecedented form of honor from son to father, and although some may view this move as a form of nepotism flowing in the opposite direction," and it goes on from there. But I just love the thought that anyone would get this news showing up in their feed and be like, oh, of course he gave his dad a shoe. Like, who wouldn't give their dad a shoe? Nepotism blatantly, you know?
That's why the reason I don't have a sneaker brand.
Right, exactly.
Really, it begs to the question of like a maybe in the sense of like a nature versus nurture. Like, Kyrie, is it the basketball player? Or is it the jeans?
That like made him choose his dad?
No, that just, which one, which one played more of a role? Was it Kyrie or was it, the father's genes?
Oh, okay. Okay.
Kyrie can't be Kyrie without Papa Kyrie.
Yeah, I thought you were arguing Kyrie wouldn't have signed his dad if he wasn't his dad. Like on his own merit, he would not have chosen. Which is a way funnier angle, I think. Of just like to get on your soapbox and be like, this is such blatant nepotism. If he was not Kyrie's dad, he would not be in this position.
I think the funniest thing, like, how like shops, I know like skate shops would do it to where it's like, hey, if you pull up, you gotta, to get the shoe, you gotta do a kick flip or something like that. And I think there's I think for the Jordan, I think it was the new 4 that's coming out, you gotta like shoot a layup or something like that.
Oh, okay.
I would love for when Kyrie Irving's dad shoot, they do something like that, but he also can't. Like, it's like you got to shoot a 3, and he's like,
and he can't make it.
He can't get his own signature shoot.
That's right. I don't know if you knew.
No, my son's the player. My son's, he balls out.
Well, I don't know if you knew his dad has a background in basketball.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Yeah. Quote, Dredick Irving did not play in the NBA, but he played professionally in Australia where Kyrie was born, and also played at Boston University. So he does have some background there. So
wait, Kyrie Irving is Australian?
Born an Australian, so I don't know if still dual citizenship or what. Maybe you're trying to blow this thing wide open here.
That's crazy. I just never knew that. Wow, go ahead. Hey, go Mavs.
Go Mavs. Yeah. Crazy season they're having, huh? Luka?
Yeah, well,
Luka?
I mean,
come on.
How's their season going?
It's going crazy. It's unbelievable, the story, the way that the whole thing is unfolding right now. I mean, you got Mark Cuban at the helms of the whole thing, so we knew it was going to be a ride till the very end. And I think so far it's proven to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So who are they going against? You know what I mean?
When you're a Mavs fan, the world, honestly, it feels like it's us against them. It's us against them. I'll tell you right now.
I know that's your cheat answer, but boy, howdy, you're not.
It's us against them, right?
Yeah. I mean, are you in the locker room?
It's the world. Yeah.
I was a direct quote.
I could do. Oh wait, is that really what they said?
I'm sure.
Oh, okay, gotcha. I could do Mavs trivia all night. Big Mavs fan over here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bigger Pelicans fan, because hold. I'll do a conference, sure. Yeah, no problem. I can do a whole conference on Mavs. That's not a problem. Yeah, I could talk about Mavs for a conference. Sure. Invite us out. There's got to be like an E3 of Mavs, I would assume, I'd gladly do a conference.
E3 is not even a thing anymore.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We can find an equivalent. That's no problem.
I love that crossover. There's got to be an E3 of the Mavs.
Mavs specifically, not the whole NBA, just the Mavs. There's got to be something, yeah.
God. I'm going to be saying that all day tomorrow.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and get over to our next topic here. Nike's Department of Archives hit with layoffs here. So I think Bloomberg reported at the end of May, Nike's layoffs have reportedly impacted employees in the company's archive that stores shoes, gear, and other artifacts from the brand's history. Some members of the small team at the Department of Nike Archives have been laid off. I saw another article reporting something like it was a fairly small team to begin with. We'll get into what's on the screen in a second here.
Okay.
It's a joint topic.
Okay.
I think the team to begin with on the Department of Nike Archives, shortened to DNA, right? Great acronym there. Good job. I love that cleverness. Yeah. I think it was something like 20 people to begin with, and I think it's now been reduced to 10. So not a huge team to start, and now getting cut in half here. And the other images you're seeing on the screen here, I'm going to lump it in. Earlier this year, this is something I found out recently. Nike also announced the retirement of the Adapt app, which is the app used to remote control their Adapt line of auto lacing shoes introduced in 2019. You're saying, because I'm one of the owners of a pair of Nike Adapt Huaraches that use this app. Go ahead.
So how do you lace the shoe?
Yeah, that's a great question. It's going to be fine because they have buttons on the side of them, rubber buttons that you can tighten and loosen them with. And go ahead.
I just feel like that takes away from, I mean, you've made tying them easier. However, I feel like the cool part
And there's still a bit of magic. They have the pressure sensors in them to where you put your feet in the shoes, they're going to auto lace on you. It's just if you want to further adjust them, you can that way. Two of the things you're really losing here, they currently have the ability to where you can set a shortcut on your phone and say, hey, and you would say the name of your phone's assistant, which I don't want to say right now for all of our podcast listeners. I want to keep you engaged here.
Gotcha.
You can say, loosen my shoes or let go of my feet, and it'll unlace them through a shortcut app on your phone. That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
But the real big thing is that you can see right here, there's lights on the side of the shoe.
Mm-hmm.
You can control the color of the lights. You can make them pulse. You can do 2 different colors only from the app. And so here's where I need you more than anything. You're not going to be able to control that once the app is gone.
Yeah,
and they say, so they say, quote, they're after 5 years, we're retiring the Adapt app and removing it from the Apple and Android app stores globally on August 6, 2024. So everyone listening, if you have a pair, you've got about 2 months here.
2 months.
And they say your shoes will still work without the app. And the app, what do they say here? You won't be able to move the app to a new device, and future iOS updates may limit or end functionality or may completely remove the app from your device. Think to when you saw iPhones on eBay of like, has Flappy Bird installed $3,000. But specifically to the lights, getting back to the point here, on their FAQ, the question, if I select a specific color light within the app, will the shoes keep that color after the app is disabled? Their answer, yes, your shoes will keep the light pack you selected last.
Okay.
I've got 2 months here to decide that for the future of having these shoes, what color is going to be on the side of them, which is not an issue you have with any of your other shoes, right? They're the color they are that when you got them. But when you can change it from your phone, you're like, well, if I had to just pick one forever, I'm stressed. So anyways.
So you got 13 colors to choose from.
Well, and now I think since they've done like you can do the whole color wheel picker, you can do one color each. Limitless.
Oh, okay. That changes things a lot.
Yeah. So back to the discussion point. We'll kind of jump on and off each topic here, both between the DNA and the Adapt app being discontinued. Both of these initiatives, seem like they're part of Nike's effort to reduce their workforce this year by 2%. We talked about this in a recent episode. Do you think these specific reductions make sense in regards to like no one wants to be let go, right? And ideally in a perfect world, no one would be let go. But if you had to, are these areas and jobs maybe where you would look at letting people go, do you think?
I mean, I guess it's that tough because I don't know all of the areas.
Yeah.
I think that's tough. So I think it's probably in regards to the Adapt, like especially the app. I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, they've only made 3 silhouettes? I guess
it's less than 5. I'd put it that way. There were 2 versions of the Adapt BB. There were the Hirachis. They did like that Air Max 90-ish looking one. So I would guess 5 at the most.
So I would imagine they're probably looking at 1, just sales in general, and then 2, I'm sure obviously they have all the data as to who actually downloaded the app, and I guess how many active users you have of the app. So my assumption is if you're cutting it, then it's probably something that is a very minimal percentage of your.
Yeah.
It's just an odd thing because obviously, you want to push something but it is also weird because I feel like they didn't really push it. Like when the shoe came out,
right? Yeah.
They were like, ugh, crazy, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's cool. And it's like, it is very cool.
Mm-hmm.
But then they were just like, oh, okay, well, that's it. And then we're just going to not do anything for forever.
I mean, they came out 5 years ago. And I think the last time you heard them talked about was 4 years ago, maybe, maybe past the first year, there was a little bit more, but it's pretty much been abandoned, but not killed off, I would say.
So that I think I can see that being a somewhat reasonable area. And I think a lot of people have like, okay, well, I'm in app development, so I'm not necessarily tied to Nike. I can easily just, go work for another
Sure. Yeah.
large company.
Mm-hmm.
So that I could kind of see, because like I said, I don't know how many people are who actively are like buying that shoe, and then how frequently are you even in that app,
Mm-hmm.
using it. So that I could kind of see. It is weird because I don't know how much of that money it is to just keep it open.
That's my whole thing, is that like, I could see both sides of it, to where it's like, I'm sure this specific team that at the time they built the app were very valuable in doing a lot. As of
Yeah.
today, I don't immediately understand probably how that team is bringing in a ton of revenue right now, right? If there's not new silhouettes that are coming out, they're not making more money today by people just downloading the app and using it with shoes that are already sold. So I could see how maybe you would look at like, okay, if we had to let go of some people, it might be this team that's not bringing in a ton of revenue. But at the same time, to your point, if they're not doing if they're not doing a lot with it, I don't know how much it's costing to just keep those people on board, So
that that to keep them on board, or it's just such an interesting move to just be like, hey, we're also, well, I guess they're not killing the app. Like they're saying like it's not getting updates. So at some point, because I was gonna say it remind me of a lot of the Spotify,
the car thing. I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, where they're actively like, no, we're bricking this.
Yeah, which is crazy. So I guess at least Nike's doing that, where they're like, hey, come August 6th, it's being, I guess, removed off the App Store.
Yeah.
And at some point, it's just going to stop working.
Yeah.
Because of those phones being updated. Which I guess to your point, it's just like, I'm just going to cut service to this phone. It's, I mean, with at the rate that people upgrade their phones, it's, I think you may end up seeing that, where some people are listing Adapt sneakers with, hey, here's an iPhone 13 that is no longer updating, and the app is actively working because it's on this previous
it's
update.
Off the internet. Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we did see that. So like you said, I think it's such a small team, so it seems weird. I don't know how you're saving
a ton
by doing that, or if they're just like, and maybe it's like, hey, we're cutting this to be able to move you towards, you're just going to get absorbed to our
that's a great point you're making.
App.
Yeah, we're somewhat assuming that them discontinuing the app goes hand in with the people who are working on it are being let go. It could very well be, to your point, they're just getting moved to work on the sneakers app or the actual Nike app or something else, to where they're just not going to focus any more attention on this. That's a really good point.
Yeah, where they're just like, hey, we're not necessarily losing millions of dollars, but we're just going to use your resources somewhere else.
Yeah.
I would hope that Nike would do that, because I think you brought, like, the point you had is like, well, how big is that team realistically? Right, and then with the first kind of process you had with the layoff with the
archives department.
Yeah, the archives. That one seems weird, because that kind of seems like Nike's, I guess, like whole thing, like with the retroing, and especially like when they were, I mean, they had like, with this photo specifically, with all of we started with like running and trainers and athletic, where they do that all the time, where they're like, we're bringing back this silhouette from the 80s. And the reason why is because all this intricate storytelling. And it seems like that's like where Nike, at least as a consumer, I see the most passion from Nike is when they are bringing back these older models and being able to tell this story. And especially whenever it's Nike telling their story of like the ground up. So it always seems like that's where they're most passionate. So this one is very surprising to me.
Yeah. I think this one's harder for me to understand, because it's hard to, just because I don't have much of any like knowledge of it, of like, what do you think those people do all day that work in the Department of Archives? Like, I'm not saying they do nothing. I'm not trying to imply that, but I'm just like, it's one of those areas where it's like, I've never really known anyone who worked in any type of role like that. I've just never really come across like an archivist. So like, I'm sure I'm sure they're doing things. I don't mean to imply they're not, but it's just so hard for me to understand of like, if your team got
not
half
even
the
in that
size,
world.
yeah. If your team got reduced in half,
that's almost like the same thing I would think of like if you worked at like a museum. I'd be like, what do you do all day?
Right. Yeah. I'm sure there's like, enough for you to do and keep you busy, but it's just like
you're there.
Right. Exactly.
So there's something you're doing.
Yeah. There's stuff on the podiums. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm about to go to Yellowstone. That's exact. Well, I guess they would be like, what do you do? Like, I do this tour right now. But next time I'm in a museum, I'm just be like, yeah, you got a historian over here. Like,
I'd love to know.
You do?
Yeah.
Just flipping through books, just reading.
Yeah.
I guess you're here. So like you said, there's something you're doing.
Something to be done. Yeah.
What is it though? What are you hiding from me? What did the Egyptians really do with those rocks?
But it also makes it, I don't know. There's just so much about like the Department of Archives that like I would just be curious to learn more about, to understand how them losing these members of their team is really going to impact them. Because through Nike's eyes, it must not be significant enough to really alter their future success in the business,
Yeah. And I mean, with both of these, I mean, I don't want to say that like Nike or like the people making these decisions, I mean, very well could be, I don't know, but it almost seems like it is interesting that both of these areas were kind of like, almost feels like the boomer managers, like, so like
Office
you've
Space.
seen Office Space.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's Office Space of like, what do you do here?
So what do you do here? And then you explain, it's like, I don't feel like that's important.
You don't.
So
you don't make the shoes, right? Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it seems like. Yeah.
So you just look and talk about and write about shoes that already existed 40 years ago.
But you don't make the new
that
ones
already
we
on
sell.
the internet. Yeah. It's already on the internet, so, and like same thing, the app, you program it to where they can make it go from blue to green.
And we're not still selling these. They're sold. Yeah.
Sold. So are there ads on the app? No ads on the app. Okay.
No ads.
So
watch a 30-second Clash of Titans ad to unlock your shoes. Just sit there with your shoes stuck on your feet.
The fact, oh my God,
that's what I'm saying. Clash of Clans, just 30-second ad before you can unlock your shoes. Oh, please.
That is, I was going the route of like you had to unlock, like you had to like watch ads to get gold coins to unlock colors. No, you went there.
Your shoes are laced on your feet. Yeah.
You can skip this ad, but you ain't getting them bad boys off right now.
You're going to get 60 seconds of Shopify, or you can hold on to your feet for a little while longer. Yeah. That'd be funny.
It turns into like the YouTube ad heyday, but 140-second unskippable ad.
Yep. All right. Last topic.
Very interesting.
Last topic we've got lined up for tonight. And probably the biggest one, the headline here, Yeezy Day restock. So the premise of this, quote, as announced at the start of 2024, Adidas will release the remaining Yeezy inventory, which features products from 2022 in the course of the year. So we'll have the releases scrolling by on the screen right now. The latest wave of releases started on May 27th, and they're slated to continue through June 13th. Notable releases include the Wave Runner 700s, Blue Tint 350 V2s, Pirate Black 350s, and even as of today, as we're recording this, some of the releases are now being offered on Adidas's website at 50% off. None of the heavy hitters, I would call it. It's some of the stuff that you would expect to be sitting. But it's interesting.
Turtle Doves again? I did not know.
Another run of Turtle Doves, apparently. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I'd read an article somewhere, though, of quoting the CEO saying that, the Yeezy releases weren't going to be over the next 3 quarters, so through the end of the year here. And at that time, they were talking about selling them at cost, which is not unilaterally the case here, right? A lot of these are at retail, but there's a handful of them at 50% off, which is still not cost, but it's significantly lower.
Is that Zebras?
That's Zebras. Yeah, Zebras coming back as well. God. So those yesterday, as of when we're recording this.
Okay, that's why that video was okay.
Oh, of the guy from round 2?
Yeah.
That video goes out every time they restock Zebras. Yeah. So the big talking point I put down here, I know we've both been off the Yeezy wave in recent years, but is there anything in this new round of releases coming out that you've been wanting for so long that you're kind of willing to ride the wave again, my Silver Surfer?
Wavy baby. So it's a bummer because
it's a bummer because like you got your dilemma over there, Nelly.
Yeah, it's a bummer because I'm like, man, I really like these things, but he the man,
he is him.
So it's tough because now I've never seen him in person, but the blue tint.
That's it. That's the one, ladies and gentlemen. I knew it.
I mean, that was like my favorite V2.
Yeah.
I think it's probably still like would be like my favorite V2. Everything I just like fell in love with it. I just thought it was great. The Wave Runner really grew on me, especially that like first colorway that came out. I mean, the Turtle Doves are a unbelievable classic. I've heard that because I know that people said with the last time they got re-released that it had a different fit. I know they did half sizes.
Yeah.
And I think people said it was a different feel. Now
it's definitely, I don't know about compared to the original, but I had a pair of the Turtle Doves, and compared to the V2s are a way better fit on foot.
Yeah.
Than the original 350s.
So I've heard that. So unfortunately, I'm like, oh man, God, those Wave Runners, like I really like that colorway. I really like that look. The blue tint, I'm just like, dang it.
I knew that was the one for you.
Yeah. I mean, even just like the Pirate Black. But knowing that like those original 350s. So I don't know. I think it would have to be one of those things where, I mean, online, it would be a different story if I was at a store.
Oh, and they had them?
And they had them. Mm-hmm. And then I could look like, what's the price? So like I see them like, oh, I like them, but then do I want to hop online? Do I want to, get all that? And at this point with everything that Kanye, has said and is standing by, I'm like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah.
Now, very different story of me standing in a store with them right there. And,
if you don't got to think about it so much.
Yeah. But I still think even at that price, I would be like, glad I got to see these.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. In the moment of like seeing them in person and holding them.
Yeah.
But I see these and I'm like, wow, that's a great lineup. You're bringing a lot of, if anything, I guess I think maybe I get more of like, I want the shoes more for the nostalgic of the time that they came out, like the year that they came out and kind of just like the moment in life, like very, this release, I think, I mean, the wheels are turning very much seemed like a nostalgia bait for sure.
Yeah.
Of like, hey, I know we said we weren't going to do this, but then we are going to do it, but we're donating some of the money, not all of it, but some of the money we're donating for this. And then it's like, what if we bring back these like super, super classic colorways that are super, super hype, very nostalgia bait and all of those things. And I think that's a lot of when I think of like the blue tint.
Yeah.
I think is more of like, I remember when those came out, like that moment in time, everything going on in my life and just like the sense of hype that I had for that colorway. But yeah, seeing them, I get that. I'm like, oh my gosh, these are great, but I don't have enough of a want for them combated with everything that Kanye has, those statements he's made where I'm like, I'm hopping on Adidas's website right now.
Yeah. And so have you been wearing your pairs of Yeezys that you already own or not so much lately?
Not really.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at as well. I eventually sold my pair of Turtle Doves, both equal parts of like, not really like just wanting to be on the Yeezy wave right now. And then also the fit for me, because I went half size up based on my experience with V2s. And in the original Turtle Doves, half size up was just too big. So they always were like a little roomy on me, never a perfect fit.
Yeah.
And so it was just one of those ones where it was like, yeah, I'm not really wearing them. I'd rather sell them for someone else who's gonna, I still have my Sesames though, but even then I've not worn them in months at this point. I don't think.
I don't think of the 3 colorways that I have of the 350 V2s. I don't think I'll ever sell them.
Yeah.
Just be more of, I think, like the personal attachment I have to them. I guess I could sell the Sesames because I don't really have that much of a personal attachment to them, but they're pretty dusted.
Yeah,
so like I don't even think they'd be worth it.
That's where I'm at with mine as well. Is that, and I'm not like actively avoiding them. Like I don't go in the closet and go no because Kanye. No, I just like I don't ever see them and be like, yeah, I want to throw these on. But yeah, to your point, mine are also so worn that like I don't know if I'd get like $60 for them, and then like at that point, I'm not in a rush to get them off my hands.
Exactly. And then I've got the Statics, which you gifted me as a wedding gift. So
you can't sell those.
So
legally.
Those are too special just for again, like that moment in time and like that just a a gift like that, so and then the Jade, is that what they are? Green.
I want to call them Desert Sage.
Maybe
I might be making that up. Yeah.
But that was
Shakeback.
Yeah. So ended up winning those.
Yeah.
And to be fair, that is also like, I mean, that's a top colorway. I think they are a great
Which is funny because that one goes under the radar. Like if you didn't have that pair, I would not remember that pair came out.
Agree. No, I think so. It definitely isn't under the radar. But I think also like I don't avoid them in the sense of I'm like, I can't get caught wearing these because of this. It's just, I'll just think of like, if I'm like, I'm going to wear the Ruckus Voodoo if I'm wanting kind of that colorway of a shoe rather than like the Sesames. The Statics is an all white shoe. I walk outside in Louisiana weather, they're completely trashed. So I'm like, I can't do that. Desert Sage, now I think about it, honestly, I did kind of forget about that shoe until just now. So I'm like, I think I do have some pants where I could kind of rock that, but that's also tough. It's just the V2s were such a specific
style like they were trend for where they were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yes. And I think that's it. And I think just kind of where like more of like where my style, and I think just it's moved on from that like athletic leisure
sock upper shoes. Right. Yeah. It's like we're just not wearing a lot of sock upper shoes right now.
Yeah. So I think that would be like if someone would be like, well, why don't you wear Yeezys? I think that would be really the answer I would give them is more of like, I just think kind of with like the closet I have now,
it's not something I go for.
Yeah. And then if I'm wanting like a very like casual laid back, realistically, I'm probably wearing Crocs. So
it's funny. I have my sentimentality, my sentiment. How I feel about the 350 V2 Sesames comes from the fact that it was my first pair of Yeezys, right? I got them on a whim in Chicago. I happened to walk into the Adidas store and they had them, so I got them.
Yeah.
But then also you got them and then Houston got them. And I remember the three of us texting how excited we all were because we all finally got Yeezys, right? Because it was still like when Yeezys were like just starting to get to be a little bit accessible for everyone to get. So it's like, that doesn't necessarily drive why I hold on to them. But when I see them, I'm like, oh man, that was such like, again, just like a fun moment,
Yeah. I think that definitely, like I said, with the 3 pairs I have a lot like that nostalgia. I look back on like the time, and the same thing, like just even just talking about it, in my head, like I'm picturing being in my old house, in the what was my little computer room and opening that box for the first time. Like I can picture that very vividly with that, and I think that would be I would just be like, yep. I mean, worst case scenario, like if anything, they get wrapped up and put in a box in the attic. Like I think that would be like if I'm like I need to make space for something else. I still don't think, and like I mean, also, they're pretty dusted. So it's like, what's the point of like listing these to make like 40, 60 bucks?
Yeah.
Have to ship them. And,
so
it is interesting.
The siren song of the blue tent V2s is not loud enough to get you sailing to the shore.
Not in the sense of which is weird of how like easy it is, especially now, like on the internet. But like I said, I think seeing the blue tint in my size, because I've never seen it in my size. When we went to Chicago, for your wedding, I think when we went to round 2, they had a pair of blue tints.
Oh, okay.
But they were like a 9 or something like that. So they weren't even. It wasn't even
within the realm of negotiating. Yeah.
Yeah. If anything, I was looking at the Bada Bing t-shirt that they had for like $300, and I was like, "Ooh, do I?"
Ooh, I get a little silly on the trip.
Yeah, ended up not, but I think I'm if I'm looking at like a size 11 blue tint for a decent price, I'm holding it.
Okay.
I might be a drunken sailor.
Okay, listen, audience out there, you want to make a quick $30? Go ahead and buy a pair of them, size 11. Just wait for Tanner to show up, and you might get yourself a sale there.
Hey, $30. Yeah, I'm not even thinking about it.
Oh, okay. Hold on, $50. Listen, I'm not gonna
thinking about it.
Oh, hang on. Okay, everyone, listen. You could run that price up on them real quick.
I'll negotiate against myself for sure.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Do with that what you will.
Yeah. Are there any in here that kind of like the same question you had for me? Are there any shoes that are releasing where you were like, oh my gosh, like to be able to have gotten that shoe in the time or the hype, or kind of the same thing? Or are you like, okay, I know I haven't worn Yeezys, but this one.
Yeah, I think when I saw the list, I got more excited to see blue tints on here for you because I knew how much you had wanted that shoe. And I was like, oh, this one might be the one that gets him to like bend on his will a little bit here. I think if I hadn't already been fortunate enough to hit on turtle doves, right, that would probably be the one that I'd be like, I wanted this shoe forever. Like that was, I've only ever bought one pair of fake shoes, and it was a pair of turtle doves, and like obviously bad fakes, like $30 fakes, but it was like, I just want to have something. But I think
the COVID mask was sick though. That was sick.
But I think from my experience of getting the turtle doves, and both of them being bigger size than they should have been, but also not as comfy as 350 V2s, it was a very sobering moment of like, oh, like the allure of getting them, that feeling was better than having them. So to that point, there's nothing else on this list that puts me in that same position that I think I would do it again. Had they thrown OG 750s on this list, I might be singing a different tune right now. That's always been the one, right? That I've been like, if they retro it, I might have to do it. But even to the point of like, it's not at all the style of shoe that I wear right now. I probably would not even wear it all that much. But just to know what they're like, and to have a pair and all that, it would probably be a like a nostalgia buy more than anything.
100%. And I think that's where we have like the same mindset and outlook when it comes to like this drop is, that point in time when they came out. And I think just kind of like that moment of like, I just want to either just keep them as like a collection, like as a collector's piece, and just, I finally did it. It's the grail, or, your white whale, or whatever it may be. But then sometimes, I mean, I think whenever you are hunting for this shoe, the excitement and perfection that you create, and the feeling that you build up, is sometimes the scary of when you get it, of, can it live up to that? Have I done more? Have I hyped it up? Or is it one of the things where it's like, oh, this is not, the hunt was way more exciting. And the fact that this was something that I couldn't get was so cool and exciting, and made me like really love it. And then now that I'm holding it, it's like, oh yeah, it's not that grand.
Well, let me tell you, I've done that dance enough times to where I should know the moves by now and be like, okay, I could recognize that's what's happening. Don't do it again. But then, sometimes.
I mean, I've never been out of the country, but I hear a lot of people make that statement with like the Mona Lisa. Everyone goes and then they're kind of like, that's it. It's not really that crazy.
I think it's one of those things to just like, you check off the list more than like, this is going to wow me to my knees or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's crazy. I saw a video that somebody posted, speaking just of the Mona Lisa, where they had like, the Mona Lisa, and it's not a huge painting.
No, it's small. It's pretty small.
Relatively small.
Yeah.
And there's a ton of people there, and they literally just like do a 180. And there's a painting that's like the size of a wall, like a 2-story wall. And it's a painting that somebody did. And I'm like, it's so crazy that like, the story and, the scare of the Mona Lisa is famous. And then you literally, you turn around and you're like, oh crap, this is a 20-foot tall painting. So, very interesting. Yeah. I'm sure just like, well, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the general like Yeezy hype, I don't know if it's still there. I don't know if people.
It is. People are stoked about this online. Like people are hyped. I mean, great for them,
and it's bangers. I mean, like they are bringing back some real classics.
The one that I see everyone kind of unanimously excited about is Wave Runners. Wave Runner seems like one of those ones that like they could drop it every year and they would sell out of it every year.
It
took a very long time to grow on me, and it's finally there.
Same.
Same.
It is one of those things where I like see the color, like the colorway and the model. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I get it.
Yeah,
I get it. I didn't think it was terrible when it dropped, but I didn't understand it.
It just wasn't something I thought I would want to wear.
However, now
I just finally caught up to it. Yep. Yeah. Can I tell you what the most recent moment I've realized in my collection of the allure of getting that sneaker was greater than the feeling of having that sneaker? Skunks. Nike SB Skunks.
That's crazy.
It's just one of those shoes that like has such a history to it. It is such like a grail for so many people.
Yeah.
But once you have it and you're like, practically, when am I going to wear this green and purple Dunk High? It's just, at least for me, there's not a lot that I wear that I'm like, oh, that's going to go well with that. It's one of those ones that it's like cool to have, but like I hardly ever throw it on. And I'm like, I should probably sell these and like just get something that I would wear more.
And it's also, I think it's also an interesting thing that happens, I think, in like collecting sneakers is that, which I think is also like a beautiful thing with collecting sneakers, is that there may be something that like you don't need to keep as a trophy. I think it's like
so right there right now. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt, but yeah, you go through those waves. You go through those waves, and I've been on the wave where I'm like, well, I can't be a sneakerhead and not have Royal Jordan 1s. Like you got to have Royal Jordan 1s. And I'm now at the point where I'm like, I never wear Royal Jordan 1s. Why am I holding on to them just to be like, well, I have them? As if like someone's going to come through the door and be like, Shoe Podcast, do you have Royal Jordan 1s? You can't have a Shoe Podcast if you don't. And I'm like,
Yeah. And it is one of the things where I mean, it is a fantastic shoe, and it is a beautiful shoe with regards to the Royals or the Skunks. And it's a great history piece, and it had a beautiful moment, and it is deserving of all of its hype. But I think that's one of the greatest things about the sneaker culture is that you can get it and enjoy it and either never wear it and just be proud and happy that you got it because it filled a part of your childhood growing up, being able to see it and being like, man, I just want this. And you finally get that joy of having it. And sometimes just the joy is just opening it and just being like, oh my God, I finally got it. And then they sit, and then you have the moment where you were like, I'm never really going to wear this. And I'm not really like staring at it and oogling over it.
Yeah.
And then how many people realistically are coming to my house that I can show this to that are going to be hype?
Yeah. Well,
and then after a while, if I'm not hyped, I mean, obviously they're going to see it the second time and be like, oh, okay, yeah, it's your perfect green fuzzy shoe.
And that's the thing as well, is that like, I don't think I've ever really been the type to be like, I want to get this shoe so that I can wear it and have a big flex and have a lot of people notice it. Cause I'm so bad at like, if I'm wearing a pair of like, call it Shadow Jordan 1s, call it Air Max 1s, and someone come and be like, I like your shoes. I never know where to take that conversation, right? I'm never prepared to be like, oh yes, thanks. I love these. And like, yeah, exactly. So, I think in recent years, I've especially just gotten hit with the thing of like, I work from home 5 days a week. I don't see anyone other than my wife, right? You know, like she's already impressed enough to have married me. I'm not saying don't impress your spouse anymore. Always pursue your spouse. But to that point, the weekends, right? That's my time to like really wear my collection and potentially go anywhere that I might even just get to see it, much less anyone else, you know? Yeah. And as you and I know, one of your weekend days is probably yard work and chores around the house. It's just, you know, like, I feel like I'm in one of those moods right now where I'm like, I would love to just, in theory, sell my collection down to 30 pairs, 30 just like absolute ones that I want to wear into the ground. And these days I feel like I get more excited for like the $120 GR, call it Vomero 5, call it Asics, whatever, that I'm like, that's going to be comfy and I could wear to everything. Then the Futura Nike SB Dunk Lows that I'm like, that's the big thing right now. It is cool looking, but like, I know myself well enough to know I'm not going to be wearing that shoe in 3 months. That's where I'm at right now, I feel like.
And that, I mean, like, you know, to your point of, you know, like with your working from home, I work, you know, like my job is with kids. So I don't
You're out,
wear,
but you don't want, right, exactly.
You know, I'm not like, oh, you know, and so I'm like, oh, I'm not going to wear the black cement 3s to go spend 8 hours.
With the kids
going ham.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, I mean, like, oh, the weekend's here. One of those days is, like you said, yard work. Friday doesn't count. So then that leaves Saturday. The morning I go bowling, which then means I have a maybe 2-3 hour window.
Hey, his bowling shoe game, sick though. We should do an episode one day on the bowling shoes.
Look, I did have, it was forever ago, but I had a dream that I was in the PBA and I was sponsored by Off-White, and I had like an Off-White bowling shoe. It was sick. It was sick.
Does that mean like you had a hope that would happen, or are you saying you literally one night had a dream that happened?
Yeah, no, I was just, I had a dream where I was
an actual dream. I thought you meant like, one day I really wanted to be in the PBA wearing Off-White.
No.
I'm so sorry you ended up doing a show with me instead.
So I literally, it was because it was a bowling pack day. Literally went bowling with my dad that morning, and then we went to my parents' house where me and my dad watched bowling tournaments like the rest of the Saturday.
He went to sleep and he had lanes on the brains, everybody.
End it. Wrap it up.
Thank you, everyone, for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. You can find us online at shoepodcast.com, across all social media platforms at Shoe Podcast, everywhere except for where we're not. If you want to continue the conversation with us and our fans, you can join our Discord. We'll have a link to it in the episode description down below. Lastly, thank you all so much for listening to another episode. If you liked it, which I'm going to assume you did if you're still here 50 plus minutes in, please consider hitting that subscribe button, that follow button, that whatever button, just to give us some engagement and so you can stay tuned for the next release, which we should call out and probably maybe should have said at the top of the episode. So I take it we're probably skipping next week. You're going to be on vacation. If not, it would be wild.
From the Tetons?
Yo, we get how many comments we got to get saying do the remote episode for you to dial into the remote episode.
Hey,
make
look,
make the number good, nutty. Make the number nutty.
If you're good with this, yo, I want 333.
Just 333 comments?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, comments? I thought you were talking about likes.
Comments. No.
Comments?
We need comments.
12.
Okay, 12 comments. Can we combine across YouTube and Instagram?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
No spam.
Short episode, no spam. No in-house influence here, right? I can't go on the alt account and do it. Okay, 12 comments across both. We're not going to take him for a whole hour here because he's going to be on vacation. We dial him in for 20-minute mini episode.
But I'll hit the mini episode.
Live vlog, walking around what's on feet at Yellowstone.
Boom, there you go. I'll even do this one better. It'll be the whole family. We'll do a whole what's
heat
on
check?
Foot. What did the family bring to the Yellowstone?
Y'all drop those comments. We need this right now. All right.
Heat check.
Anything you want to leave the people with?
Oh man. You know,
I don't.
The only thing that I'm gonna say is hey, when your mama calls, at least call her back.
Okay.
That's it.
There you go. Thank you, everyone, one last time for checking out another episode of Shoe Podcast. We'll be back next week or not. I don't know. It's up to y'all. It's up to y'all, right? Up to you, the listener. If you want us next week, make it happen. I'm your co-host, Ryan Landry.
I'm your co-host, Young.
Okay, bye.